Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Kuntres in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Kuntres Umaayan was going to start off by giving tzedakah. And we're going to continue davening for all the hostages and all the Yidden in Eretz Yisroel and all the soldiers that should be safe and healthy. To only have good news to share. We're going to focus on Sahar ben Tamar. That Mitzvah Hashem should be all good for him. Okay. And ultimately, like we said before, that through us doing our avodah, waging our war, we help the Yidden wage their war. So we were discussing different levels of shtus. It's very interesting. Like, what's interesting about it also is the Rabbi Shab explaining something that we already sort of technically saw all of it. He just put it in a nice package. Anyway, so the story is, like we said, there's different levels of shtus. And on one hand, doing the Aveira is bad. The worst, easily, no questions. But on the other hand, in a certain sense, you could say there's a mila in doing the Aveira. And that mila is that once that if you do the Aveira and you know that you did something wrong, so at least you're honest. You're honest with yourself. And this is the biggest challenge in life, to be honest with ourselves and to recognize where we do wrong things. And it's being honest doesn't mean that I'm only seeing the bad. Being honest means I see everything. But the challenge is when we're not honest with ourselves, we don't see when it's something that we need to be fixed. We don't see it as a problem. And then there's nowhere to, you can't fix something that's not needed to be fixed. And that's why this is very important. And we're showing the different levels. So when so we said the first lower level is machzik tevel atzmi. They hold themselves, they were self-satisfied. And the problem is we're thinking we're good enough, we're coasting, we don't have to work on ourselves anymore. And there's nothing else to work on. I'm done, I'm good, I'm perfect. Which is of course very unhealthy. Doesn't mean the chas v'shalom that we should think ourselves as we're really bad. We didn't say that. Just we shouldn't sit there thinking we're perfect. Now, even higher than this, someone who is arrogant because of their Torah learning and their davening, and that's worse. That's a worse issue than machzik tevel atzmai, that we hold that we're self-satisfied. Arrogance is worse than being self-satisfied. Why? Because machzik tevel atzmai, someone who is self-satisfied, who mashallah higia el tachlis hamiti. What's the problem with that? They didn't reach the ultimate level they could reach. Hainu tachlis briyasa beilam, the ultimate purpose of why they were created. Not to the ultimate purpose of their work. Shehu inyan habitul, which is the idea of bittul. Bittul, remember, means connection with Hashem. That we look at ourselves as part of Hashem, not as something separate from Hashem. So when I'm good, I'm done, and so you separate yourself from Hashem. You don't have that bittul. So that's the problem. But it's not as bad as Aval Gaiva, when you're arrogant, he aveira. It's an aveira. The first two letters of Hashem's name, of the Yud Kei Vav Kei name, it's getting affected by the arrogance. The Geir Merah La'atzmain, it causes bad for the person. La'abe Kishrei Nesa V'chushay Nafshay, to lose themselves and the sensitivity of their souls. Being arrogant is very unhealthy, and you can see it. Like with all these things, we have to be very careful that we don't lose ourselves, and we have to understand ourselves properly to understand what does it mean we're being arrogant versus what does it mean being just happy with ourselves and feeling proud of ourselves. And I think a simple way of knowing it is when you're happy, something good happens to you, or you feel like you've accomplished something good. What is the feeling? The feeling like, wow, I'm so grateful that I've been given this opportunity, that I've been able to do this, and thankful to Hashem? Or is it that I put other people down? Because behold, kasher klei sichle rechavim. Now we're going to explain this issue with being, I think with the arrogance. Because here, the person has a great mind, To really understand something, to extrapolate, to really expand on what you've learned. Haruach shtus misisei. So the shtus comes and it confuses us. What does it say? What does it say to ourselves? Lama l'cha li'agei atzmecha latriach b'kol kach es sichlecha. Why should you put in more effort? When you learn, you did enough. And this is another perfect example that when we learn, we have to learn this and then understand how does this play itself out in my version. Because probably in my version, I'm not sitting there learning Torah and saying, why should I learn a little more? But it could be in other things. You're doing a mitzvah, you're davening, whatever it is, you're doing a mitzvah, like, oh, why have to do more effort into it? And we're trying to satisfy ourselves and do the minimum. Isn't it true that my mind is very wide, very broad, and I can understand a lot? And for me, whatever I'll do will be enough. Meaning, this is falling to a trap of comparing myself to others. And whatever, if I'm doing good enough in comparison to others, I'm doing good enough. But the truth is not like this. Because like we say in one of the famous psukim, coming from Masechet Megillah, it says, the person didn't put in the effort and they say they achieved, don't believe him. Meaning, without any work and toil, any efforts, you'll never be able to get. Meaning, even someone does have a great mind. So you're going to say, what do you mean? Why can't they get it? It's easy. They have a big mind. They're very smart, and they'll pick things up very, very, very quickly, which will take someone 10 hours, take them 1 hour. So what's the problem? They learn only for 1 hour. Yeah, it's true they could learn for 10 hours, but for the 1 hour they learn, they'll get it. So what's the big deal? What's the issue? What they're doing? So he explains, you need to have effort. You don't become a chacham by itself. Meaning, and this is an important point, meaning one of the issues that is having the person's comparing themselves to others. If we can achieve 1,000%, whatever, that doesn't make sense. Well, if we can achieve 100 and we're working at 50, and there's a kid and there's someone else that's capabilities are only at 40, and we only get 50 and they get 40, their 40 is worth more than our 50 because our potential is 100 and their potential is only 40. So they're achieving their potential. And this is sort of the mistake of the arrogant. Meaning, life is not just about coasting and about doing the minimal amount to be Yetzizayin, but life is about full effort. It's like if you ever, if you listen to any conversation with someone that's like top in their field, whatever it is, they put in a lot of effort. It's full, and that's how we have to be within ourselves. And to look at ourselves as we are the professionals, we are the top of our field, and our field is davening, learning, Torah mitzvahs, connecting to Hashem. V'im klei sichle be'emes rechavim v'kalim, and even if in truth you really have a broad mind and you're able to do these things easily, and remember we have to learn how to apply this to our situation. We have that ability. V'kalim im haya eisek harbe, if we would have put in more efforts, would have learned more. Haya va lemadrega hayesenayli, we would get to a higher level. Masha'enke and kishena eisek, whereas we're not putting that effort. Ella miut is man. We're only putting a little bit of time. Magia gam. We don't reach these high levels. Gam kama shisichle magia. Even as much as you're gonna get because you're smart or whatever, it's never gonna reach that full potential. This is because of the ruach shtus, the folly, the stupidity that covers over the truth. And we bless ourselves in the heart, meaning we justify ourselves, we say to ourselves, Shebim'at zman, with a little bit of time, Bim'at yigia, and a little bit of effort, Yagia, Mashachaveira Yagia. We're going to reach the same amount as my friend at the amount of time that he puts in. Meaning, I'm going to spend 20 minutes and my friend's going to spend an hour and I'll get the same place. And if it was true, like the person is saying, Lama Yishkach, Shehu Bizman Harba Hayam could be true. So it's true. For you, 20 minutes will take the other person an hour. But what would happen if you worked for an hour? You would get, it's like a small-minded. We're doing minimal amounts to be Yetzizayin, to be Yetzi. The littlest amount to fulfill my obligation. That's not how you have a relationship with Hashem. That's not how you have a relationship with yourself. We shouldn't live lives do the minimum. We should value ourselves and value our life and what we're doing, and whatever we're doing, we should give 100%. There's also foolishness because you didn't put in effort. You didn't achieve. It's not gonna work. The whole thing doesn't make sense. And the point is, it's a foolishness because it's living life comparing to others and looking at others and seeing what's the minimum amount I can do to be considered good enough. And the truth is, we should be pushing ourselves to go further and further. So too, there's another type of foolishness, folly. That it looks another issue. So that's an issue that we have potential for greatness, but we don't put in effort and we satisfy ourselves with the minimal amounts. And this is it's a waste. It's a wasted opportunity. And I think it goes back. Really, it stems. We have to stop and think about ourselves and ask ourselves, how do I look at myself? Am I myself someone just surviving? I'm just barely making it through, or even I'm not. I'm making it through comfortably. But could I be more? And what's stopping me from that? And it's a lot of deep conversations. Maybe I need to speak to my shpi about this. But getting into it and realizing, like, how much can I go? How far can I go? Yeah. So then there's another issue. A person says, "Kavi lefanov." It's very difficult. Mipnei brios gufay, because the way they were made, and this is a very big issue. That a person thinks to themselves, "I'm not shy to this. I can't do this. I'm not on the level." And different capabilities and different senses, and we say, I'm not a learner, or I'm like whatever we say. I'm not a kind person. I'm not smart. I'm not whatever we say. I'm not. Well, I can't. This is what he's talking about. Shekasha love liageya hamoyach oy machmas habatach ba'inayim. He says it's very hard. The mind doesn't work. Or it's hard to see. My eyes have problems. She calls it hu sheker muchlat. Heavy words. All this is complete false, complete lying. How does he translate it here? This is clear falsehood. Sheker muchlat. This is muchlat means complete. It's complete falsehood. This is totally wrong. We should never give ourselves that excuse. And that's hard. We could have grown up for many years. We could have gone to school and been labeled something. And people, whatever the label got put on ourselves, and it sticks with us. And then we say, I can't, but and we justify ourselves because I can't. I'm let's say ADD. I'm ADD, and I'm not able to sit. That's not an excuse. That's what he's saying. It's not an excuse. Now, does that mean we have to bash our head against the wall? No, but we have to figure it out, and we have to recognize how is this categorization that I'm giving myself helping me? Is it pushing me forward, and how is it stopping me? And how could I push myself? Why is it falsehood? He goes, because if you have an issue with your head, if your head bothers him, let's say you get a headache, so what should you do? You should go learn Torah. You have an issue with your body, what should you do? So it says in Eruvin, you have an issue, you go learn Torah. So for sure, Torah can't be the problem, can't be in the way. Shinamar, like it says, ulachal b'sarai merapin, to all his flesh it heals. Like it says in Mishlei. So imkain, if Torah is healing and Torah is the medicine, so to speak, for your issues, Ein zeis kiim sharuach shtus manhigoi bederech leitov. This is the ruach shtus. This is the folly. This is stupidity. That's telling us, pushing us away from learning Torah. Ah, no, Torah, it doesn't work for you. You can't learn. You're not good at it. Or whatever the other thing is that we have to put in, we have to use our example, how this applies to ourselves. Ad she'oiseh hifuch haseichel legam, until we do opposites, what's intellectual, what's right, what makes sense. Milvad shezeu hevech ratzon habayis. Besides, this is against Hashem's will. Shelakach nitatu, because that's why you were created. Last week, Torah of Avodah, to learn Torah, to daven, to mitzvahs, things like this. Ulahagia be'ezras Yisbarach, and to reach with Hashem's help al hatachlis al mitzvah, the ultimate truth, the ultimate purpose. That's what we're here for. And if anything is getting in the way of that, whatever we're saying to ourselves, but I can't. Do you understand? Like, I have all these things, and whatever that excuse, it can't be. It can't stop us. It could be an issue, could make it a little more difficult, but it can't stop us. Kitzer, someone who sins, Yedea ki hu ha'ashem. When he sins, the one mile it has is that he knows he's at fault. When we sin, we can say, I did a mistake. I know that. But and without pain, from recognizing that we did the mistake and we did the sin, Nika charatase, we recognize it's recognized the remorse, mahara b'tshuva, and then that makes us want to go do tshuva. Anytime we do something wrong, we feel bad. We did the wrong thing. It's tzaddik, but someone who justifies themselves, ain't a mahara b'tshuva. They don't run to do tshuva because what have to do tshuva for? You don't. But there's a reason behind it. Avo yodeya shetzarach tikun, but ultimately, they know there's something wrong, they just justify it. So they know they can get it fixed. But someone who self-justifies themselves, we're saying we're good, we don't need to work on ourselves, we're perfect. They can't recognize their issues, what's lacking. And what needs to be fixed? Because we're saying we're good. I don't know what needs to be fixed. I'm perfect. I can daven, I can learn, I'm doing better than that person. Even though the reality is you could do way better than them, and you're living minimally, it's hard, it's a problem, but you don't see this. And hamizgaya, someone who has yeshus, someone who has arrogance, pagan by yud k, they affect the yud k within them, the first two letters of Hashem's name, uma'abed kishneisov, and they lose their own abilities and senses and destroys them. So mitzvah Hashem, we should be able to recognize where we're holding, be truthful with ourselves, and with that can help us recognize what needs to be fixed, be honest in a positive way. And tomorrow we'll start off with a great story that actually brings back in the back of it here that we talked about once and explains this idea very well. Have an amazing day.